Copenhagen embraced the fall season on Saturday with its first inaugural Hagen Harvest Fest. 7 News reporter Gage Kilborn was there.
The Village of Copenhagen is looking to welcome a new tradition, the Hagen Harvest Festival, an event that featured over 30 vendors with fall-themed items for purchase. Folks were also welcome to get pictures with his creative background and explore an assortment of pumpkins for purchase. 8-year-old Anthony Ball came out with his family to enjoy the festivities.
A lot of stuff's free and that's cool.
One of the things Ball picked up was a toy fire extinguisher. Including Ball and his family, there were around 200 people who showed up to the festival, which would not have been possible if it wasn't for Kimberly Augustine.
I wanted something for the community that would bring them together, and it's taken a year or two, but this is for the Village of Copenhagen.
Among the vendors was Snyder's Sugar Shack, a Copenhagen store which provided people with pumpkins, maple syrup, and mums for the fall season.
I have a lot of hometown pride. As soon as I heard they were doing it, I said, let's do it.
This seasonal festival was designed to fall on the last weekend in September as a way to kick off Copenhagen Central School District's Pink Week.
The village hopes that the great turnout will turn this into an annual event. Gage Kilborn, 7 News.